Good morning. I just wanted to make the second part for the value study, understanding value. I've done a couple of things, and I'm going to show you where I'm at here currently. I've done a couple of things. I corrected the bottom just because I reworked it. It looks a little bit better. I feel good about the transitions. They're a lot smoother than I expected them to be. And I want to reiterate on the bottom, on the gradation, that I completely abandoned, trying to get it perfectly smooth. And it's not about erasing brush strokes. And you can see there's some texture there because I kind of, slapped it down and kind of dabbed it as opposed to kind of like blending it out and just getting completely erased of my brush strokes. Now in grad school, I really, really focused on getting rid of my brush strokes. And ever since I started painting landscapes, I've kind of abandoned that idea too. And I really, really enjoy the idea of leaving brush strokes behind. So it kind of gives character to the paint. It also, it's your fingerprint, because everybody's brush stroke is going to look a little bit different, just like everybody's mark and drawing is different. But today we're going to finish it up. I'm going to do that middle row of gradations, and then I'll show you guys the final product. But today we're just going to close it up. I'm going to clean up some lines. There's some things that I want to clean up, like you can see on the top, those little white specks, that's canvas. And then you can see where down on the bottom where my tape bled. Now and that's reminding me that painter's tape is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay, you can get this at Walmart. It's I recommend the 3M stuff, but it's really, really adhesive. It's got a lot of adhesive. So usually what I do is, if I'm wearing jeans or a shirt, I'll pick up some lint before I put it down, because sometimes it'll actually pull the paint up if it's not completely dry, and it'll pull it off, and you just don't want that. It's a really big frustration. But anyway, this is a great way to keep good lines, but you will find it does create an edge that you have to kind of get rid of after you pull the tape off when it's still wet. You don't want it to dry. You want to pull it off. You want to pull it off when it's still wet, so that you can blend that line out that it creates, because there's going to be a ridge of paint that you want to kind of erase. And but yeah, it's a nice little trick to keep your lines straight, but it does produce bleeds. Meaning that like the paint sinks underneath the tape. And you can see that kind of on the bottom there, on the very bottom. Right here. So it creates bleeds. So I'm going to have to come back and I'm going to mix up a little bit of paint and do that. But for this video, it's just going to be basically just me time-lapsing those 4 squares in the middle. And then once that's done, I actually painted the outside gray just because you don't ever want to leave raw canvas unpainted. I mean, paint it white if you're going to leave it white, but don't just leave that gessoed board white. It looks incomplete, and you can see that I painted mine, but it just looks like you've unaddressed it, and it looks incomplete when you do that. So what I did is I actually mixed up a couple of values that are different from my scale. So because if you mix it the same, if you use a value that you've already used in your scale, what's going to happen is that line is going to erase. So let me show you what I mean by that. So my value is somewhere in between in here, but it is not the same as any of these values. If it was, it would completely disappear, and you wouldn't have a line to differentiate the end and the beginning of that square. It would also happen down here, which I don't want that to happen. So I mixed up a value that's not on my scale, because now it differentiates between my scale and my background. So I think what I did is I ended up taking my 4th value and I added black to it, a little bit more black to it. So I'm somewhere in between here, in between these 3. So it's a step in between these, and you can see that little white speck, what I was talking about. These are just little things that I'm going to clean up, and that little bleed there. But I did use tape to kind of keep the line straight. But you absolutely can do that, and you can see all my texture down here. But it is dry. I did some yesterday, and I'm going to close this guy up today, and this will be done. Okay? So understanding value, we're going to go a little bit quick. This is not going to be as long as a video, but it's not going to be as long as a video today, but I'll just play some over music, and we'll just move forward. Okay, guys, let's get it done. Pretty much it. Like I said, big tip is to follow the shape of the gradient that you're working on. So if the gradient, like that first square from the left, is a vertical, your gradient, your strokes should kind of go in the direction of the gradation, meaning in that fade from black to white. I would lay my color down in the way that the gradient's going, but I would blend it the opposite way. So to kind of pull those colors, values together, just so that you get a smooth gradation. Same thing on the second from the left, the spherical one. You saw how I laid it down. I laid my white dot down in the first, and then kind of laid it out like almost like a spiral, and then I blurred it almost like on that one I actually dabbed it. It's basically taking the brush and kind of dabbing it, and just kind of moving it around and kind of allowing those colors to blend together. The third one, which is more of a conical shape, just kind of did it in bars going this way, and then blurred my strokes and blended my strokes horizontal. So the blend should go opposite of the direction of how you lay it down. Just like on that last one, I started at the top and kind of went white and then grays, and then spiraled out almost like a hand of a clock doing this bit, you know, and keeping that center. It's like, if this is the center, my stroke kind of went like that all the way around till I got to black, but then I would blend it, you know, almost like a radial pattern. So keep that in mind. That is the final product, and I will show you that image one more time just so you can look at it. Again, I'm not too worried about texture on the bottom, that bottom gradient. Really, it's just about learning how to get it smooth, and that's why that bigger one's there, because on mine, those squares were only 1.25 inches. So, yeah, those are about that big in reality. So those gradients are pretty tough to do the smaller they get. That's why you do the bigger one first. So good luck, guys. If you have any questions, just give me a shout out. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the video, please like and share it. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's LongtinArt. It's LongtinArt. And you can also follow me on my newsletter on my website at LongtinArt.com.